This Friday, Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan are back to switch things up in Disney's Freakier Friday.
Totally, yes.
It's an absolute riot, and the only movie that can be described as
So much weirder than the last time.
What last time?
it's the frequel
You ready?
we've been waiting for.
That absolutely slays.
What deeply out of touch old person came up with that?
You did.
Wow.
Don't miss the comedy event of the summer for all ages. Disney's Freakier Friday in theaters this Friday. Get tickets now. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested.
Pie in the Sky Media. This series contains adult language and descriptions of graphic violence throughout. Listener discretion is advised.
3, 2, 1. Hello, Criminal Mischief Nation. Happy holidays from Criminal Mischief with Carolyn and Branden. I'm Branden. Welcome back to another bonus episode. I'm joined by the great Carolyn Osorio, who overcame her technical, well, actually didn't overcome it. We are limping into this episode on Zoom. So, because she had to get
Happy
fancy.
holidays!
She had to get fancy with a new microphone and everything.
You're messing my high note
literally
up. Stop. You're messing my high note.
exploded in her face. So, yeah, here we go.
Well, the merry bells keep ringing.
All right. I hope she
Happy
sounds
to
great
you.
because we're all suffering for this. That's why the episode is late. That's
I
why
know.
she's trying to make it up to you by singing, which is actually making it worse. So, happy holidays.
Okay. All right. Do you have it? Are you
Criminal
cleansed? Do you have?
mischief.
That's my Christmas gift to you.
I am cleansed.
To continue to mess with you to the point of frustration and
Yeah.
he's adjusting his hat, so he's getting ready for business.
I'm ready. I'm ready for show
Okay.
business. So what
You ready for some shit business?
I am. So I think I asked last week, but I forget. Any holiday plans? You're not traveling, are you?
No.
No. Okay, same. Either I'll be here. Did you have your tree up and everything?
Of course. I put
Yeah,
it up the day after Thanksgiving. It's up, and January 1st, everything's
You
gone.
mentioned that. Yeah, we don't even have ours yet. We don't have our tree. I put the house lights
That's
up.
okay.
Yeah, and we're doing some the interior kind of stuff is happening, but I think we're getting the tree hopefully tonight. So
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what just came to mind when you said that?
Mm.
Something so, like, you give me shit about my microphone. Now I'm gonna remember last year when you put your foot through your
Yeah.
attic.
Oh, it was my entire leg. Like I fell through. The only thing
Okay.
that saved me was my left butt cheek and a ceiling rafter on the attic side because I went right through. Yeah.
Was there anything underneath? Was there like a sofa or anything? Or
The
you would've
living
been
room,
like,
I would have landed on like an end table. Yeah.
it's so funny. You're all worried about an earthquake and just talking about weather, and it's like,
Yeah, no, falling through. And it
it's
was
you.
it was so funny. Chevy Chase is either a genius or the writers of Christmas Vacation. It's happened to them. Because it happened to him in that movie. Remember, he gets stuck in the attic. His family goes out shopping, gets locked in the attic, and he's like freezing cold, and he's walking around and he's putting on all the old clothes, and then he falls through, and he's only up to his knees because he lands on the kid's bunk bed, all right, the top bunk. And then the first thing he does is go, "Ooh, it's warm," because the heat's coming through from the house, right? And that was true. I was cold as hell up in the attic, and as soon as I fell through, all the heat started. I went, "Oh, well, at least I'm kind of warm now." But it was embarrassing.
Didn't you have to self-rescue?
Yeah, I was home alone. Yeah, I was home alone. Self-rescue is a little bit dramatic. I just, stood up basically and came downstairs and then spent the next few hours patching it with the drywall and doing all that stuff. So yeah, that was almost a year ago. Yeah.
It's a joyous season.
Yeah. And
Just be careful when you go in. Just be careful when you go up in the attic.
I know.
All right.
And the weather out here is going crazy. It's warm, unseasonably warm, and very dry. And unfortunately, fires exploded overnight in Malibu again, and everything is threatened in Malibu. Houses and Pepperdine University and like everything. It's crazy. And there's a Santa Ana wind condition that's happening. So, yeah, man, it is no joke. It is no joke out here. But anyway, here we go. So let's talk about, speaking of Wicked,
Speaking of no joke,
were you inspired by the movie that's out right now? Because we saw that movie over the weekend and it was
what
sensational.
movie?
Wicked.
Oh, no. I
Oh,
felt like it was absolutely appropriate.
yeah, Wicked. And there's some other words that are appropriate for these people, but I'll withhold them for now. Uh, because ostensibly it started off as a kind of altruistic in a sense. She was going to help this old man with an Alzheimer ridden wife, unfortunately. It was just mother, excuse me, mother. So it was the mom with Alzheimer's, then the guy who was in kind of poor health, and then here comes this woman and her kids.
I mean,
Who are,
I think ostensibly is the key word here. I
yeah,
mean, I think from the very beginning it was a hustle.
she was
You
looking
know,
for she was looking for an
she
angle
was
from the beginning, right?
she was a grifter,
Yeah, he was a good guy.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
So my first question is, how did she find out that he had this 40K nest egg? Like, did she just have
Because
free reign over his accounts?
yeah, I mean, I think it was a slow process where, they developed the trust. First the kids started taking care of grandma, calling her grandma,
Mm.
and, on the weekends and after school so that they could, he could run errands and things like that. And they needed a place to stay, and she was able to sweet talk her way into this situation. And my gosh, like if she would have just made it work, it would have been a very stable place for her and her children, probably the first in a long time. And then he trusted her enough to give access to, because she was basically running the household. So,
Right.
here, a checkbook, here's, and he would leave his papers around. And, a few months in, he had recently sold his home. And so they were all living in a rental. And so that's where that $40,000, the bulk of it was from the sale of that home. So when she saw $40,000 in his accounts, that's when the wheels
She
started
said,
turning.
just having a nice, safe, place to live with my family isn't enough. I want all of it, to the point where
Yeah,
I'm
but
going to
that's
murder.
the thing that's like, and this going in, because the Burl who I interviewed was like, she hadn't thought beyond, it's kind of like she saw the $40,000 and she didn't see beyond, like, what was she going to do after. And it's obvious based on her plan, it was just ridiculous and was not going to work from so many different levels, right?
Well, I mean, I get, yes, obviously, eh, criminals are, for the most part, pretty stupid, but especially this woman. And yes, I can see that she didn't apparently have a plan, because it was so just ridiculous what happened after the murder. Um, and she didn't think she'd have to answer any questions from anybody, like what happened, or where's the money, or like all of that. I mean, did she not think that did he have a will that the money was supposed to go to someone else if he died? Like, didn't think of any of that.
I think that, I've said this before, and I don't know if you recall me saying this, but like, I think that in the heat of the moment, a lot of people, when they kill people, they don't think, whether it's jealousy, whether it's greed,
Right.
whether it's envy, they're so caught up in the moment. And I think that this is like the poster child for someone so caught up in the moment that they're just seeing $40,000, which to them,
Yeah.
seems like $1 billion. And
Yeah.
like, I just want him out of the way. And then I'm going to take all of the money and be gone. And I don't even know if that was the plan of like, take all the money and be gone, because she didn't do it. But just that everything stopped with, I want to kill him and I want to get that $40,000.
Because there was some planning. You can't really call this a crime of passion. It didn't come to her in a second, right? There was planning, there was recruitment involved, getting help,
Yeah.
like all of
Yeah.
that. And she never stopped to think, is anyone going to wonder where the money went? So that just seems, I mean, supremely stupid and
I
short-sighted,
mean,
even
it's
for
the
someone like
whole
this.
the whole thing the whole thing is just, I mean, just think about what she did with her children, including them 7-year-old daughter, 11-year-old son, 13-year-old daughter,
And then friends,
right?
14 and 12, two other friends.
And then the 17-year-old boyfriend, she uses her daughter, 13 years old, to go out with this 17-year-old, invites him over to have sex with her 13-year-old daughter, and is waiting in the wings for this to happen so then she can get him to help with this, manipulate him into helping this murder.
By
It's
saying, I'll
just,
help you buy a car.
I mean,
Right. That's
you know,
what she promised the
yeah,
17-year-old.
and some clothes. But I think that really what it was her manipulation and him feeling like she said that Jay was abusing her daughter, his new love
Yeah.
interest. And so he was, all fired up about that. I mean, that's no excuse. I'm
No, of
just
course
laying
not. Of course not.
the
Manipulation.
foundation for this manipulation. And I can just see her. Like, she's the type of woman who's like, she would buy them alcohol. They all called her mom. She tries to act like the cool mom. And it's like, I mean, she's like the reverse of cool,
There's a
you know?
term, there's a term for that. It's an ancient, I think I think it dates all the way back. I think it's from the Latin. I think it's called white trash. I don't know how it exactly translates nowadays, but if you go all the way back, it might be Greek. I forget what the root is.
Okay,
No, it's a
stop.
piece of shit. Come on. What are you talking about? Of course
I
she's a
know,
white
because
trash. Here we go. Here's alcohol for all of my kids. Here, come over and bang my 13-year-old daughter. And then when you're totally in love with her at 17, I'll tell you that this man is abusing her so I can manipulate you into murdering him so I can get 40 grand. And don't worry, we'll throw the body in the back of the Firebird. That's the definition of white trash. If you look it up, it will give you a run just like that.
I mean,
Firebird
I'm
must
not
be
gonna just
available to
I'm
dispose
not
of
gonna
a
just
body.
okay, I'm not gonna just put that on, like,
You
there's
don't have
lots of
to.
middle class or
I
middle
will.
class people who do really stupid stuff too. But this
Yeah.
is like this woman, like, you know, it's this kind of a case is hard because on the one hand, you're like, how could these kids do this? But then on the other hand, it's like they were raised by her. It's like even worse than being raised by wolves. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because this
Yeah.
woman was so diabolical, and not only was she able to manipulate her own children who had grown up, who had grown up with, this was their, you know, this was their mother, but then also she was able to manipulate all these friends.
Okay, so I drink a lot of water. At least I try to. Mostly because I can feel the difference when I don't. I just don't like that icky feeling when you've had too many chips and not enough water and your rings start to feel all tight on your fingers. I mean, it's not rocket science. Our bodies are 60% water, so it makes sense that it's a good thing to stay hydrated. But the last thing that I want to do after a jog or hike is gulp down unhealthy water. For me and for my family. I mean, it may seem like a little thing, but you'd be surprised that a lot of tap water just isn't clean. Which is why you've got to check out AquaTrue, a water purifier that uses a 4-stage reverse osmosis purification process. It's a mouthful, but basically, the AquaTrue purifier is so good, it removes 15 times more contaminants than ordinary pitchers. And as a busy mom, what I love about AquaTrue are all of the options. They have water purifiers that fit every type of home, from installation-free countertop purifiers, which is what we have, to higher capacity under-the-sink options. Best of all, the water tastes fantastic, by itself or in the coffee that I make at home all the time. I can truly taste the difference compared with our old water filter, which never really had a place of honor in our home. I mean, it was like on the counter or in the pantry or in the sink or on the table. You get the idea. Today, our AquaTrue water purifier has a home on our counter. It was really easy to set up, and the kids were kind of impressed when they watched the purification process as it was happening. So, if you're looking for peace of mind and delicious water, try AquaTrue. And when you order AquaTrue, it comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. And because you're a Criminal Mischief listener, you'll receive 20% off any AquaTrue purifier. Just go to aquatrue.com, that's AQUATRU.com, and enter code MISCHIEF at checkout. That's 20% off any AquaTrue water purifier when you go to aquatrue.com and use promo code MISCHIEF. MISCHIEF.
Yeah, that's the head scratcher for me is the boyfriends, the kids that he recruited, the 14-year-old and the 12-year-old, to show up with their souvenir bats, not even full-size bats, like little, like foot-long bat. You know how hard it would be to kill someone with one of those little bats?
I mean,
It's
physically,
like trying to
it would be
shoot an
hard, but
elephant with a
also
BB gun.
emotionally, like it would be hard to kill somebody, especially at 12 and 14. You know, I mean, I'm just talking about the other day, and I'm not trying to like put myself on a pedestal or my family on a pedestal, but like I just explained how my son, who's 11, was upset because the other little fish thing that he has was eating the other one or took a bite of it, and he had tears rolling down his eyes, you know? And this is such an extreme where it's like, how are these kids doing this? This is a human being. You know, she must have had this thing where she convinced them to totally dehumanize Jerry.
Yeah.
You know, because how else could they do this to this poor man who was begging for his life as he's being pummeled, whacked and whacked and whacked?
I guess, I think you nailed it when you said it's how they were raised. I don't know about these other kids, but my kids are this age, are right all around this age, a little younger, a little older, like right there. And you hear shit that their peers do, like at school. Okay. Like waiting in a group to attack a teacher. Like, so the cops have to show up, like that happened like earlier this year, so the mob mentality probably took over here. The 17-year-old was obviously the older, cooler kid. He's having sex. The guy's got a fucking Firebird or whatever, so he could probably force them or manipulate them or threaten them into doing his bidding, or promising them money, or if you don't do it, I'll do this to you, or I'll kill you. Who knows? But when you get into that, like I said, that mob kind of mentality where it just becomes this orgy of violence just going on. And that's what it sounded like. Because was it the daughter, the 13-year-old, who came in with the knife and just started stabbing, or was that the mom?
Yeah, it was the daughter. The mom stayed in the
Right.
basement
And
with
she's
the
such a piece
11
of
and
shit.
7-year-old.
She tried to get off by doing that at trial. I didn't do anything. It was the kids.
Right. Not only did she do it at trial, but it's almost like that was her kind of ripcord thing through it. Like, hey, you know what? If we get caught, I'm just going to blame it on these kids. I was downstairs in the basement. Like, how did she actually think that people weren't going to be like, you were encouraging your
Yeah,
children
it
to
didn't
beat
work.
this man to death and
Didn't work
other
for
children?
Yeah, didn't work for Manson, and it didn't work for her. Manson didn't kill anybody, but he encouraged all of his children, quote, to do it, and he went to jail for the rest of his life. So good. So that's what's happening to her. But it's it's just it's hard to, I don't know, that the daughter jumped in and started stabbing.
The daughter, and then her best friend is the one that did the coup de grace shot because the best friend tried to go down in the basement and crawl back out the window. And the mom was like, you need to be supportive. You need to get back up there.
You need to be supportive of your friends. Okay. Now, come on, get back up there. Make sure he's dead.
It's almost like they were all in an echo chamber of this woman. Like, they spent a lot of time with her. They spent the night over there. She was, maybe talked to them in a way that their parents didn't, and appeared to have answers that they were looking for. They called her mom. She was, let them drink alcohol, let them do what they wanted. I mean, it's kind of like the guy said, indoctrination. And it doesn't make sense to us, looking at it like, oh my gosh, why didn't they just walk away? But like, it's almost cult-like. And I'm not excusing the behavior. You know, they could have just said, hey, I'm not going over there anymore. This is wrong, which
Yeah,
should have
but
happened.
also exciting for these young kids. There's a house where you can go drink and have sex and no one cares.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. And then so sad because I was reading the interview with the little kids, the
oh,
7 and the 11-year-old. And it starts out where they wanted to ask her, the 7-year-old, um, when was your birthday? Where did you go to your birthday? And she's like, Chuck E. Cheese. When did just all this stuff where she's a little kid. I mean, it's one thing to say, to chronicle this story and say a 7-year-old. And it's another thing to read this transcript of this 7-year-old and having her in this flat affect, because that's how it was described, kind of just talk about going downstairs with her mom and how they could hear them beating Jerry. And, then she went upstairs and started picking up, brain matter and gore with napkins, and like the mom encouraging her to do. I mean, it's just this kind of a case is
it seems
so
inhuman.
it is. And,
Yeah.
and it's sad because these kids, like, what kind of life had they lived to be able to do that? You know?
Yep.
And again, like, I'm not making excuses for
No.
them. I'm just,
And
we're
what
talking
happened to
about,
the 7 and the 9-year-old? I mean, adjudication wise, they went into
I
foster
don't think
care and all that.
I think that they were probably, I don't know. It didn't
Right.
say.
But the
They were
youngest to go to
probably,
juvie was the 12-year-old and the 14-year-old.
yeah,
they both
yeah.
did time a
Well, the
lot.
7 and the 11-year-old, they didn't have anything to do with it. They just helped,
The cleanup
clean
crew.
up afterwards. But I mean, they were,
Devastated, I'm sure, for the rest of their life. That's awful. So they go into
yeah,
foster care. Everyone else goes to jail for long stretches. Everyone got
yeah,
really, really
yeah,
long sentences.
yeah,
The mom
yeah,
got life without parole, right?
yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The
And
17-year-old.
they also said that after she was convicted, she could have no contact with any of her children forever, basically.
That's
I
great.
mean, maybe as adults they could talk to her, but
Right.
they wouldn't let her be in the same prison as her daughter, you know.
Man. Are any of them out now? You said someone, I remember, got out.
Yeah, the her daughter Heather, the 13-year-old, just recently got out.
She did like 20 years, right?
She did 20 years. I mean, what do you think of the 17-year-old who got 50 years? The teenage boy who,
Yeah, why not?
well, compared to the daughter who got 22.
There's a difference between 17 and 13. Big difference. Okay. There's a difference between the mom manipulating the daughter, okay, and the kid just going along with it. Okay. So I think there's a really clear distinction in those in the sentencing there. I was listening and I was like, wow, that sounds very, it sounded like justice to me. Right? That there's a
Yeah.
17-year-old going away for 50 fucking years. Yeah, totally. 100%. Right.
Well, we learned this in the and I mean I'd known this before, but they're re-looking at kids who kill before the age of 20, before the
Yeah.
brain is fully formed,
In
and looking at that.
California, definitely the law's already on the books. Yeah.
Yeah, and so now, obviously this kid who's now an adult is looking at trying to get out, and so it's kind of like,
It's probably
when you
40.
read,
It's got to be almost 40 by now, right?
yeah, well, probably mid 30s, late 30s, yeah. I mean, he served a lot of time. But like this mom, I mean, it's just so vile, I
Yeah, it
mean,
makes you
it's
think
so,
what happened to her, like what screwed her up, you know? She wasn't born wanting to do that. Was it desperation? Was it how her parents raised her?
sounds like she was just hideous. She reminds me of the mom in The Wallowing, the story that we covered with the mom who made her kids beat the live-in caregiver, the
Oh,
babysitter, and it was just this whole, you know, she would make them, their punishment if they didn't do what she wanted was to wallow, where she'd strip them down naked and
yep,
and like
yep.
spray them with hose outside. it's this kind of personality, the mom, overbearing, like she got her way. It was not a way that like anybody would want. Like, she got her way like going into Denny's, I guess, after the murders, at some, not the night after, but like a few days later.
After they dumped the
Denny's.
body in the Firebird. Yeah, they went to Denny's on Jerry's credit card or something.
Right, but then they did it again. They were at a restaurant again, and there was this in all these documents that I read, and it was just the way that this crew came in, and it was so sad because it had been days after the murder, and the 11-year-old, the waitress notices that he's got blood on his ear, dried blood on his ear. And she's like, "Hey, are you okay? Did you hurt yourself?" And then the mom's like, "Oh, he just got both his ears pierced. It's probably just dried blood from that." And I'm like, she's not only is she not, she encouraging them to murder
Days later.
But days later, he
The
still
kid hadn't
has
showered.
blood.
He hadn't showered.
He hadn't showered. He had the Jerry's blood on his ear, allegedly, according to this witness. And it was just kind of like,
Wow.
This woman just portrayed herself in a way that the quote unquote mom, everybody calls her mom. That just always got to me because I'd never, growing up, I knew parents like this a little bit, and I never would call them mom because it just felt weird to me. And it's like, why would you want a bunch of kids that aren't yours calling you mom and trying to be like, people like that always kind of, and I'm sure there's fine people who do that, but it just always seemed a little bit kind of like, what is this? What is this?
Ugh. Oh, the whole thing was really, really unsettling, and perfect for the, like a Christmas episode. So, kudos. It's a time for family getting together,
everybody appreciate what you got. Cause gosh, can you imagine having a mom like this?
No kidding. Oh my gosh. Oh, all right. Well, anyway, wonderfully disturbing episode of some truly diabolical pieces of shit people. So, and I'm glad that they're all in jail, and I hope terrible things are happening to them in jail. And I'm totally comfortable saying that. So,
I know the guy had terminal cancer. The guy had terminal cancer on top of everything else. And they were probably just like, we fucking hate Jerry. He won't just give us everything he's got. He's got money and he's whatever. And, and then to have the mom sit there and be a prisoner to this wheelchair and her Alzheimer's diagnosis.
That's the thing. And that they left her.
And just left her watch.
They left her. Forget it.
Well, not only to watch her son be beaten, but then also to be so starving that she's grabbing magazines to eat.
The indignity of just being left there without anyone to take care of her when they were supposed to. It's, anyway, I don't even want to talk about that part. But so anyway, like I said, wonderfully disturbing episode. Thank you. Anything for next week you want to tease out a little bit? No? We'll see. Okay. All right. Well, if you enjoyed this episode and you think someone else might enjoy it, please consider sharing. It helps a lot. And head over to Apple Podcasts and rate and review the show. That helps even more. And please consider supporting the great companies that support our show, because without them, we couldn't do it. So until next time, Nation, I'm Brandon with Carolyn signing off, and stay safe out there.
From Cloud 10, Criminal Mischief is a pie-in-the-sky production recorded in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. We're produced by Brandon Morgan and myself. Music by Soundstripe. I'm Carolyn Osorio, your writer and host.